I think most of you have already joined Professor's lecture about historical part. So today I will more focus on practical part about how to holding the brush, how to use materials, and how to writing calligraphy. So for calligraphy, it's not only simply writing Chinese characters. It's more like kind of art form, important art form, which you can appreciate by a beautiful arrangement of different lines, beautiful patterns. So if you don't understand Chinese, it's still nothing stop you to appreciate Chinese calligraphy. It's nothing stop you to practice Chinese calligraphy. Itself is kind of art. So you can see how the beautiful arrangement of different lines of the structure of each writing is like a painting itself. Okay? So in China, calligraphy and painting, they do have close connection. So the two arts, just like twins and birds, so it's inseparable. In China, 书画, which is one word, it means calligraphy and brush painting. So which would, if we mention calligraphy, we must mention painting as well. So the two arts, both of the two arts, they share the same instruments, maybe like the same tools. The most important thing we're going to learn today, the Chinese brush. Okay, so the practice Chinese calligraphy or Chinese brush painting, just like play instrument, music instrument. You have to practice a lot about how to handle the kind of brush made from bamboo stick and goat hair, which is soft hair. Okay, so if one of you have each of brush, you can touch the top hair of the brush to feel, and the quality of the hair is quite soft. It's quite soft. It's not hard, not stiff. Okay, so an important concept for using Chinese brush is once you moisture the brush with some water, the brush becomes a sharp point. Okay. The brush becomes a sharp point. Put some water into the small plastic things. So once you moisture the brush, showing a sharp point on the top, which that's the key things is the Chinese brush different with normal painting brush, oil painting brush, or watercolor painting brush will be the point. So this brush have a point. The normal brush we're going to use is no point, that's the first thing. Another thing is Chinese brush, which are quite soft. It's quite soft. So when you're going to write it, you have to hang your arm, because the brush itself cannot support any pressure. So you need using your hand, using your finger to control, to adjust pressure. Most of the time, just small little movement will be controlled by the finger. Okay? For large movement, it's by your palm or by your arm. Okay? So for writing calligraphy, it's more like a personal expression. It's like expression of your emotion. So the same writing, you have to plan carefully before going to write. Plan in your heart. So your heart control your arm to the shoulder, shoulder to the hand, hand to the finger, and finger to the brush stick. And eventually it convey all the energy and spirit to the brush head, okay, and to the sharp point. Okay, so the first concept for tonight will be the point. In Chinese we call it feng. Feng literally translated means a knife or blade. Sorry, blade of knife. And feng means indicate the cutting energy coming from here, not from the side of the brush. It's from the center of the brush. So that would be a key concept going to writing Chinese characters or do most Chinese paintings. It's always using the center of the point, which means we're going to write something or paint something. For tonight, I will mostly demonstrate on the wall. If you're writing, you're facing to the paper, slightly different, but it's always making sure the brush 90 degrees towards to the paper. So that's 90 degrees. So by this way, you're holding the brush, can make sure the brush hair is always pointed and always the middle of the hair touch the paper rather than the side of the brush. Okay? So I'm demonstrating here. I need to make sure the brush most time is 90 degrees towards to the wall. So before we start to try something, first of all, can everybody see how I'm holding the brush. Okay. So holding the brush, is everybody right hand, any people left-handed? Left hand will be similar, will be using by this way. Because in China, there's not too many people who are left-handed. If you are young in school, you use left hand to holding a brush, the teacher will be forced you to use the right hand. Yeah. But here it's okay because most like you handling the brush is okay, just like painting pictures. So right hand holding the brush will be look like 2 fingers in the front of the brush stick, and 2 fingers at the back of the front of the brush stick. Okay, and using your thumb just hold the brush. Okay, so the 5 fingers working together, working coordinately. Okay, so literally the brush stick are between your middle finger and your 3rd finger. You're using the nail part of the 3rd finger stick to the brush like this. Okay, so using your nail of the 3rd finger to stick to the brush. And if you're holding by this way, that may be too tight. If you're holding too tight, you can't control smoothly. Okay, so do have some space in the palm. The Chinese saying will be have egg in the palm without dropping it down. And it depends on the size of the calligraphy you're going to write. If you're going to write in a really large, huge characters, we need holding the brush slightly higher. So for more flexibility, kind of moving in the large area, you're going to write in medium or smaller size. We'll do some details for Chinese brush painting. You're holding middle, lower of the brush. So middle, lower of the brush. Okay. So for today's practice, most times we're holding about middle, lower, about 1/3 of the brush stick. 1/3 at the bottom. And it really depends up to you. You can either to hang all the arms in the air when you're going to practice, or if you feel struggle, you might feel the hand shaking when you hang everything up. You can rest your palm on the table. Okay. The only thing is, once you rest your palm on the table, that's not fixed to the table. It means if you're moving the brush, hand moving as well. Not fix the hand, only doing the brush. So that will be limited the movement of the brush. So if necessary, moving the arm, moving the hands as well, to make sure always the brush 90 degrees towards the paper. Okay. So next thing, Chinese paper. So the brush will be the first and most important tool for practice Chinese calligraphy. And we have Chinese ink. Nowadays, we most time using the bottled ink. Traditionally, people using an ink stone and the ink stick to grinding for ink. Not be taking too much hassle for tonight, so just using the ready-made bottled ink. Okay? So this ink will be, so be very careful when you're doing with the ink. If the ink on your clothes, is no way to remove it. So be very careful putting your shapes on if necessary. Okay? So be very careful of the ink. You cannot wash out. So this ink is quite lack of dilute product is quite thick. Normally we add a small amount of water as well into the ink. Normally about 3 portions of ink, 1 portion of water, or similar like that. It really depends. Okay. So the last thing, the media for Chinese painting and Chinese calligraphy is paper. We call it xuan paper or rice paper, but it's not made 100% by rice. It's made from the grass, cloth, and bamboo leaves. Okay. So it's all handmade paper. It's quite thin and delicate. It's quite thin and delicate. Okay. If you're writing on one side of the paper, it goes through to another side straight away. That's why we have the calligraphy mat to cover the table. Okay. So using this is better. If you're directly putting it on right on the table, you cannot remove it because the ink will be stick on the table and it's difficult to clean the table and even make rip out this as well. Okay. So today I'm putting some over the flip chart paper for demonstration later. Okay. So, and when we have some paper in the middle, you can share the paper into views. Make sure you pick up one each time. It's quite easy to pick up 5 or 3 by each time. Make sure you have one piece of paper only each time. Okay? So can I ask everybody to find paper or piece of paper in the middle and put in on your calligraphy practice now. Starting a stroke and finish it. I make a small turning. So I didn't starting from left to right. Straight away, I'm starting from right to left. I'm moving back to the right. When I finish, I return to the left. So that's the track of the brush movement, rather than just drawing a single line like this. Okay. So by this way, I call it hidden the point. That's the point. I do this starting with hide the point, not showing the point, not reveal the point, to hide the energy in the brush stroke. Okay? So for this stroke, we're starting from right to left, make small turning to right. And when you nearly finish, you lift the brush up and turn back. So it involves like a 3D movement. The first thing is the speed change a little bit. When you're turning here a little bit slow, okay, and using light pressure. So using light pressure on using the top part. Okay. If you press too hard, you can't make a proper change. That's too much, and the brush cannot point it. So for the turning part, using light pressure. So remember, we're doing the twist line here. Using light pressure to the center of the point, it's more likely to create a shape. If you press too hard, difficult to turn. Okay? So for this stroke, we're using light pressure, brush top, make turning to right. Meantime, we can add some pressure to let brush hair spread up, but do other pressure equally, and make sure the brush is still pointed, the brush always pointed 90 degrees to the paper. And when you finish, you do a return, lift up. Okay, so that's the first stroke we're going to learn. Screen. Hopefully finished by winter.
Sorry.
So 4 characters going to learn. 4 characters going to learn. So start with the screen. So you see, each Chinese characters have a lot of basic strokes. We call it strokes and also elements to build up the characters. Okay? So we had already learned how to make individual strokes. Now we need to think about the structure and how to build up the stroke together to a whole Chinese character. So for the first one, the screen, I'm going to demonstrate it here. So we're starting with 3 horizontal lines. Follow the practice we did before. 3 horizontal lines similar like we do in the parallel lines, try to leave similar space between each other. So for the Chinese writing sequence, it's more like from top to bottom, left to right. So we do the top part of string as a start. So do the top part with 3 horizontal lines and 1 vertical length. And after that, you do the downstroke to left and downstroke to the right. After that, we have a downstroke to the left and downstroke to the right. And underneath, we put in another symbol inside. Now we do the frame first, the left part, and horizontal with the turning in the middle section and the bottom section. So to complete this character. Autumn is showing on the example top left. Okay. So for the 2 characters we just learned, spring and summer, they are all whole parts. But for the autumn, coming with 2 different sections, have the left part, have the right part. So the left part means a kind of plant or weed. Right part means fire. So it means it's a season for autumn season. So we do the left part first, added with the right part. Okay. But after the 2 parts being added together, it's still showing a square space. In square space. So starting with the left part, the first stroke, a short stroke. After that, another horizontal stroke. Down stroke, top to bottom. Left with the dot on the right. So left part finish, but we do pay attention not to the whole space, still leaving space for the right part. Now we only have winter left. These 3 of them. This is the last one. It's quite simple. Have a big cover on top with 2 dots, feel like snowing effect. Okay, so big cover and 2 dots here. So start with the top stroke, and after with horizontal stroke, and turning to the left stroke. So that's how to start with. And the downstroke to right with a little bit wave. And 2 strokes at the bottom. So that's winter. So after we practiced 4 of characters, we try to making them appear in one piece of paper, which we start with basic stroke, and then stroke put into each characters. And now we have 4 characters already. We can put in the 4 characters as a complete piece of artwork. Okay? We can try to do it maybe by follow the same way of the layout here, 1, 2, 3, 4, on one piece of paper. So now I'm going to writing them all together. So before I finish into a paper with nothing, I need to plan first where the 4 character goes for. a good way is folding the paper. A good way to fold the paper. So that's one piece of paper. And fold to half. And fold to half. So it gives me a rough idea of the space. Should be. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I need to fold a little bit more to give it more precisely guideline about the space. So leave some margin area as well. By folding this way, 4 characters. So after writing the first characters, so we need to make sure the right 3 are consistent with the first one. Give people kind of overall feeling of that. And when you're writing the summer, you need to, when you're writing the autumn, you're making sure the character is aligned well with the first character we did before. Okay, so you need to look back. Okay, so appreciate that, like whole things rather than individual characters. Now we're going to write in this 4. Starting with the spring again. And after I finish the first one, all the right characters have to follow the similar size and similar style, similar feeling of that.